Yo. What's going on, everybody? It's Black Manga Critic here. We live for a Hunter discussion stream. All right. I don't have like a bunch of topics in mind or anything like that. I'm just kind of, you know me. I was just kind of wing it, and we kind of see where the convo goes and stuff like that, and what I feel like I want to talk about. Sometimes I might make like a list of things that I want to tackle. I have one thing in mind that I might want to tackle, but I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. So let me put this on the Twitter, and let's get it started. It's been a while since I've had a Hunter discussion. Like it's been a while. So I'm just putting this on Twitter just for the folks to know. All right. I'm just gonna respond to a tweet real quick. All right. So, Hunter's coming back. Hunter's coming back. Yeah. I'm so excited. I can't even. Oh my lord! I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped for it. I think we know it's coming up. It's coming back next week. 7 days from now, 23rd. All right, October 23rd. This is not a drill. I think most people that follow me also love Hunter. So most people, like not everybody, obviously, but like most people, like love Hunter. So I think most of those people already know it's coming back. We've been hyped for a few weeks. Like, you know what I mean? Like we've been hyped since Sagashi started writing manga chapters. So we knew that it was coming back at some point this year, right? We knew it was coming back at some point this year. We're hyped about it. We were like, all right, when's the date? So the thing that got me super excited wasn't even just that the manga's coming back, right? It wasn't even just like that. It was like the Shonen Jump Twitter like first said, all right, it's coming back October 23rd. That was enough. That was enough for everybody to be like, yeah, let's go. Like that was enough for everybody to be hyped. Then below that tweet, they were like, but wait. They were like, we put Hunter in the Shonen Jump vault, in the Viz vault, right? Like in the vault. I was like, that was when I had to do like a quick video for that. I had to tweet that out. I was like, what? Like I've been waiting for that announcement for ever since the vault was created, right? Like years ago. Ever since the vault was created, right? I met, what was that, like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, like 3 years ago, something like that, when the vault was created, and everybody was hyped about it, and you could just like go through and read the chapters and stuff like that for other manga, and maybe even like 3 years ago, I would say. And now we got Hunter in the vault. Like I had to buy the volumes digitally just so I could read all of the Succession War and Expedition arc chapters and stuff like that, just to reread them. And then if you wanted to read the stuff that wasn't in volume form, you had to go through the Shonen Jump magazine, the digital magazines that would come out weekly, so you could read the Hunter chapter specifically because they weren't in the vault yet. I was so like, that's how much I loved Hunter. Like, and that's how much I still love Hunter. I was willing to go through those magazines to read each and every chapter for whatever came out. Like, I was like, I'm doing it because if I had to do a stream, I had to know what was up. I had to know what was going on in the Succession War and everything like that. So I was gonna do that, no problem. Legally or whatever. So now we have the vault. I can just go through, click, see the Hunter chapters. Oh, it's so good. Life is so good right now. Life is so good for Hunter fans. Like it really is. It really is. Okay. So now we got that out of the way. If people come through in the chat, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about in the chat. But if people don't come through, I'm just going to talk about whatever I want to talk about. I think the first thing that I want to talk about is kind of random. It's a little bit random, but I think I watch a lot of like Hunter like reactions, like people reacting to Hunter. And I think for me, it's interesting to kind of see like what are some things that reactors like love about the series and notice about the series and stuff like that. Because like when you're reacting, you don't notice every single thing. Especially if it's like your first watch through, you're not gonna like pick up on every single little thing, right? Like that's not what you're doing generally as a reactor. Generally, you're just like enjoying the content. You're just enjoying the show and whatever it is that you're watching in the anime or the manga that you're reading or watching, and that's what you're doing. So I don't expect like every reactor to be like, oh, to understand like the intricacies of Nan on the first like go around. I don't think people who have read it for Hunter for a long time understand like the intricacies of Nan now. So it's so that's how I think about it. But one thing I want to think about is really like the Hunter exam and like kind of him going through that. That's something that's always interested me, and I always wanted to make a video on it about like what makes Gon like so suitable to be a hunter, and like what are the kind of hints that we like see throughout the Hunter exam that put Gon in such like a pedestal and saying like he's more capable than like Killua to be a hunter and stuff like that. And I think that like this is not like me saying, oh, there's this intense deep stuff in the Hunter exam and Gon, like that's not what I'm doing. Otherwise, I would have probably tried to make a video about it. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to talk. I just want to talk about what I like and what I like seeing, what I'm thinking about, stuff like that. That's it. This is not me trying to teach people about whatever, but it's just stuff that I think about, Yeah, Talos. Yeah, people definitely downplay. I think a good number of people downplay Gon as like a protagonist. And they kind of like compare him to like other shonen protagonists. And I understand where it comes from in a sense. I think there are a lot of similarities that Gon has to other like shonen protagonists, like battle shonen protagonists in particular, right? Like a certain like determination, indomitable will, like stuff like that. Like talented, physically talented, that kind of thing. Underestimated in terms of their intelligence, that like that stuff. You know what I mean? Like that stuff's there, right? But he's like a kid. He's like 12, right? So his brain hasn't fully developed. He's going to do things that as adults we look at and we're like, okay, like he's gonna make impulsive choices. Clearly he's like intelligent, but he's also like 12 going on 14, right? So he's gonna make certain choices that might not make a lot of sense to us as adults who live in this world, like in this reality. But in that reality where you got superpowers, and you've got preternatural abilities and all these other things, right? The choices might make a little bit more sense there. But they're still kind of like unhinged to us, right? They're still like unhinged choices, So that's one of the things that I really do like about Gon. I like when he just sort of very quickly makes a choice that's like normal people would not make. Like normal people would not be like, all right, I'm going to sacrifice both my arms. Normal people would not be like, okay, I'm going to like let my friend like continue to be hurt for my personal gain. Like these are like my best friend, right? Like these are not things that like normal people would do, and even like normal children would do, like at that age at like 12 or 13, at 14. Maybe if they're like a lot younger, they might do that. But the stuff that they would do is like relatively tame in those situations, like the decisions that they would make if they were like 5 or 4 or something like that. Relatively tame, right? You might have a kid that's like, hey, I'm gonna run into this hard surface or whatever, and let's see what happens. And you'll just let your friend do that because you're like 4 and you're just, curious about whatever. And you might not realize like, oh, like I'm definitely going to be hurt like in a real way. Or my friend might be hurt in a real way. And I don't want my friend to be hurt in a real way. You just like try to have a good time at like 4 years old or whatever. But Gon is like 12 or 14 making those same kind of decisions. And the scale, like the stakes are way, 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 way higher. So that's why we look at him and we're like, yo, like, what's going on? So, but that's one of the reasons why I like Gon so much, because you can see like the world like slowly just like pile on the negative consequences for the ways in which he like makes decisions and makes choices. And sometimes they work out really, really well, right? And other times they don't. And that's kind of the thing, right? It's like the hunter exam kind of like tries to prepare you for that. It's like you're gonna have moments where you're gonna have to make a choice, and sometimes if you make that choice real quickly and you like are like really cemented in that, that can be a really good thing. But then there are other times where like you see some of the other people who apply for the hunter exam and they made a choice and that choice didn't work out, and something we don't know what happened to them, but they somewhere, right, the Hunter Association picked them up, but they might be irrevocably damaged, like mentally and physically. I don't know. But the thing I love about going to the Hunter exam, and I think it's like one of the things that, Togashi is like, he doesn't have to like tell you outright, this is why Gon is more suited to be a hunter at the time than Killua is. Like, we know that, like, right, like we can figure out that Gon is more suited to be a hunter than Killua is because Gon has a goal, right? It's like he has a goal. Like his goal is what's driving him, and it's one of the like it's like one of the things, if not the thing, that consistently propels him through each phase of the exam, right? Like when he's facing Hanzo's got a blade, right, pointed on his forehead. He's like, I'm gonna find my father. Like that's why I'm still here. That's why like I'm not giving up, because I gotta find my father. He's not like, I'm not giving up because I'm someone who doesn't quit. And like, and it's like, like that's not like the main reason. That's maybe a part of it because Gon is like a little bit, unhinged, and he's someone who's like very much so like determined to like win things and like, push through and that kind of thing. But like the main reason that he like lets Hanzo like do certain things because he's like, I gotta find my father. And he also knows that like he doesn't have a chance against Hanzo. He can't beat Hanzo. Like Gon's smart. Like he knows he can't beat Hanzo. He knows that, right? So he's just like, all right, how am I gonna get out of this? Like, how am I gonna, move forward? How am I gonna get my hunter license? How am I gonna become a hunter so I can continue to find my father? And he knows that he has a better chance of finding his father if he becomes a hunter. He's just like, I have a better shot at doing it that way. So of course he's not gonna give up. But again, Gon is unhinged, and a lot of other people would be like, man, I might have to just like skip this battle and try to find someone easier to face. But Gon is just like, no. Not only do I want to find my father, I want to win. I have a goal, and I'm willing to do like whatever it takes to get to that goal. And this is like, right, the first rule, right? The first rule for hunters is hunters must have something they want to hunt, right? Like that's what Togashi tells us. He's like, hunters must have something to hunt. Killua don't got nothing to hunt. Right? Everyone in the hunter exam that passes has something that they want to hunt. And those things, can range from like relatively like, normal kind of things and normal goals. Like I want to be like Leorio, who's like, I'm hunting like my medical degree and like becoming a doctor and helping people and stuff like that. That's what he's hunting. Like that's his goal. So that's why Leorio is like, I'm not giving up because I saw my friend die. I need to become a doctor and like the best doctor and like an amazing doctor so that other kids don't die too, right? Who are in like impoverished situations, right? Like that's his goal. Like that's what he's hunting, right? Like figuratively, right? Everyone else has something that they're hunting, right? Hisoka's hunting people, right? He's a sicko. All right, he's a sicko, okay? But that's what he's hunting, right? Kurapika's hunting the Phantom Troop, right? Netero and all the other hunters generally have an idea of this, but in particular Netero, right? Because they're all watching them. They have all these, Hunter Association agents like tracking them and tailing them. They're probably listening in on their conversations or whatever. And that's not outrightly stated, but that's something. But you figure like if they're watching them, they're definitely like listening to their conversations, and they're like figuring out what kind of people they are, right? Gon and Kurapika and Leorio and Hisoka and Bodoro and Paco and Illumi, right? Like and Hanzo, right? Like they're figuring all of that stuff out. Okay, Gon again, his goal. Who is he hunting? His father. That's why the show is called Hunter x Hunter, right? Because Gon is going to be a hunter that hunts hunters, right? He's hunting a hunter, right? He's a hunter. He's hunting his father. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Killua don't have nothing to hunt. He's like, and he says this like so often that like if I'm Netero, I'm like, bro, what are you doing here? like why would I give you a license? You can't even what's the word I'm looking for? You can't even like satisfy rule number 1. You can't even satisfy rule number 1. Rule number 1, hunt in the Hunter Association got a hunter guide. Hunters must have something they want to hunt. You ain't got nothing. Right? Of course we're gonna rank going over. Again, this is not, I'm not saying like this is like something that's super complicated. I'm just talking about the stuff that I'm like that I think about and I just want to talk about on my channel. That's it. It's not a super difficult stuff or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. Right? It's just like that's what's going on there, right? And I think that like when it comes to Gon as a character, right, and why he's so interesting, even like with during the Hunter exam and stuff like that, there were his goal to find his father. Yes, that is his goal, and that's like one of his goals, and that's the main thing that's like driving him to become a hunter, right? To go on these journeys, to do all the stuff, right? And the secondary stuff, right? The secondary motivations are like he's an inquisitive child. He has an indomitable will, like he doesn't give up, like right, like stuff like that, right? And but there, most of the time, right, there are moments where if he's smart enough to be like, all right, this might not be a good idea. Like when he's like after the Hunter exam, when he's on the Zoldyck residence, and he's like, I'm not gonna fight Mike, like this, guard dog, because if I fight this guard dog, I'm probably gonna die. Like if I fight this dog by myself, like Mike will have zero hesitation in killing me. So maybe I shouldn't do that, even though I want to see my best friend, right? So it's not like he's always going to make that kind of choice, right? There are moments where he doesn't, and he's smart about it. But the thing, right, there are like little things that are really particular. It's that with Gon is really great at setting his own pace, right? Gon is really great at being like, I'm gonna do my thing, and the similarities between Gon and other people who are super like what's the word I'm looking for? Give me a sec. Who have like the prerequisites, right? Who are like ready to become hunters, right? They have that same like ability. They have the same ability to be like, all right, here I'm in a situation. I know what's going on in the situation. I know like what the dangers are. I know what the benefits are. I know these things. I can weigh those things. And not only can I like make a choice in the situations, but I'm making the choice because intrinsically that's the choice that I want to make, regardless of like these negatives and these positives, right? It's just like, yeah, okay, I can see this. I can see why I shouldn't do this and why I should do this and da. But it's also like, ultimately, I'm going to do me. Gon is ultimately like, I'm going to do me. Leodio's ultimately, I'm gonna do me, right? When he chooses to fight Hisoka, he's like, I'm gonna do me, right? Normal people would run away from Hisoka because they don't want to die, because they just saw him kill a whole bunch of other hunter applicants, right? With his little card, using that nen that we didn't know about at that moment in time, right? And he's like, no, that's not who I am. Like, I might die here, but I'm gonna do me, right? I'm weighing the positives and the negatives, but and I know the negatives are a bit higher, so like they weigh more, right? But I'm gonna do me, right? Kurapika's like, yeah, and he's like, he's super analytic, right? And he's gonna make certain choices and he's gonna weigh things. But ultimately, Kurapika's like, when it comes to a situation where something is in the way of him and the Phantom Troop, he's gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna weigh that stuff, but I'm gonna do me. Don't care. Right? And he's said that a few times. He's like, I don't care who I'll kill right now. Get out of my way. I'm not interested in having a conversation right now. If you're in my face, I'm gonna kill you. If you're in my way, I'm gonna kill you. And Kurapika's dead serious about that, right? Like we see that in the Succession War stuff when he's talking with I'm trying to remember this guy's name. The cow detective, right? Like the bull detective of the Zodiacs, right? I don't even know if I could pronounce his name. But you know who I'm talking about, right? He's got like the jail cell kind of like Nen ability. And like as he's talking to Kurapika, right? He mentioned something, right? He kind of like, alludes to like, what's going on, man? Like, he kind of mentions like the Scarlet Eyes or like the Phantom Troop or something like that, right? Right. He mentions the Scarlet Eyes. And then Kurapika's like, choose your words wisely. and his eyes flare up, and you know Kurapika's about that business, right? Choose your words wise. Like when it comes to that, the Scarlet Eyes, the Kurata clan, the Phantom Troop, Kurapika's not, yo, stop playing with me, okay? Now, and every single applicant that reaches like that stage is like that, right? They have like the resolve, they have the that indomitable will, they have all that stuff, right? To not only weigh the scales and make like, you know, generally correct decisions, right? But to also like supersede that and be like, I know what I want. I know what I'm hunting, and that's what I'm going after. Period. Right? Right? Tal's like in that panel, I was like, yo. I was like, this dude's trying to die. This Zodiac's trying to die right now. Right? He's trying to get the judgment chain in his heart with the quickness. I understand it. All right. So that's what we have there. Another thing that I think is really, really great about the Hunter exam and like sort of weighing that, right, is like obviously it shows us very quickly that like Killua is someone who will give up on things very quickly, right, and give up on people very quickly. And I don't think it's not so much that like Killua doesn't like Leodio, right? Like in the beginning when they're on phase, I want to say that's phase 1, like just like the running, right? Like that's phase 1, right? Like I guess, or phase 2. Let me look that up. Yeah, that's phase 1, right? Phase 1 is like where they're hunting, where they're running. It's like a whole bunch of stuff for phase 1. But like they're running around, right? They're like way beyond like Olympic level athletes or whatever, right? Just running like 80 plus kilometers and stuff like that. Okay, going through the wetlands and all that, and the tunnel and all that, right? And there are so many moments where Killua was just like, "Yo, go give up on that dude. Like, give up on Leodio. Give up on this Kurapika. Give up on this other person. Dude, like, what are you doing? Like, he just doesn't like, right? Like, he's just like, I'm just here to have a fun time. This is not fun. Going to save Leodio is not fun. Going to save Kurapika is not fun. Going to like do all these other things is like, you know, for other people. That's not fun to me. Like that's not where Killua was at yet, right? So again, Netero is seeing all these things. These the Hunter Association agents that are tracking all of the applicants are seeing these things, and they're like, this dude Killua don't got it. He doesn't have that dog in him in the way that he needs to have that dog in him, right? Like we know Killua was about that killing life, that assassination life, right? Like if Sue puts someone in front of him and Killua has to decide, like, you know, and he has a really solid chance of like ending that person or beating that person, Killua's gonna be like, he's gonna pack that person up, right? But when it comes to other things that are seemingly simplistic, right? Killua was like, well, yeah, duh. Like, I mean, why would I go back to say Leodio? Like, that's not my issue. Leodio, like, that's not my issue. Or Kurapika, that's not my issue, right? Even with Gon, right at the beginning, Killua was just like, look, Gon, I like you, but just make sure, like, you know, when we split up, like, you come back alive. Like, make sure you make it out alive. I'm hoping to see you after like this hunting stuff where we're like hunting other people for the badges and stuff like that. I'm just hoping you make it out alive, right? Like Killua was not like, let's pair up, you know, because maybe I'm worried about you, you know, and maybe I can help you out, right? Killua was just like, he's still at the place where he's just doing his own thing. Like, yeah, he likes Gon, he wants to hang out with Gon and stuff like that, but he's still like, yo, make it back alive. That's all I'm saying, okay? And it's a bit callous, right? It's like a little bit of a callous thing that he does there, even though deep down, Killua wants to be friends with Gon. He wants to hang out with Gon. He wants to be with Gon, right? But he still makes a decision that's just like, I'm looking out for me, you know, in a sense. And that's a part of where, you know, yeah, we can kind of see that as like Killua wanting to be a hunter, like having what it takes to be a hunter, in a sense. And that's why, you know, Killua obviously, you know, has what it takes to be a hunter in the like physical sense, right? Like he can take care of himself. You know, he can prioritize himself in certain ways. But again, with Killua, it's like Killua wants to be friends with Gon, but he's not doing like all of the work that it would take to like definitely be friends with Gon, right? Like making sure that Gon is safe, making sure that he protects him, making sure that like he's a solid friend to him and certain things like that, right? So that's kind of what we're like, kind of what I'm thinking. you know? Like, yeah, right? Like, Killua, right? Like, Talos, like, Killua doesn't have, like, that, like, I want to find strong opponents and fight them, and like, and he has it, but it's not in the same thing. His mentality is more like, I want to find people that I can fight and that I know I can beat, right? Like, I want to challenge, but I still want to win, right? Like, that's Killua's, like, mentality. He's not like Hisoka, who Hisoka will find someone, right? Like, that's why he's like, I want to fight Netero the most, because Killua's nuts. Like, not Killua, Hisoka's out of his mind, right? Hisoka is like a masochist, so he has no problem going up against someone who will absolutely beat the dog turd out of him, right? Like, boop, 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 pack him up, right? Netero would pack Hisoka up easily. Okay? We know that just from based on what we saw against Meruem. The fact that Netero was even able to, like, fight against Meruem at some level speaks volumes to how strong he is compared to, like, all the other humans out there and all the other Nen users out there, right? Hisoka, he would get packed up, but Hisoka's still like, yeah, I know, I probably end up dead, but I still want to fight you, man. I still want to fight you, right? Like, Killua doesn't have that. Killua, like, once he knows how strong Netero is, right? When they're doing, like, the balls, when they're trying to, like, get the ball from Netero, he's like, I quit, right? He has an idea of how strong Netero is, right? And it's like, oh, I just have to do this simple thing. I saw a little something from Netero. So I think I could take him. I think I could take this old man, right? Then he realizes very quickly, he's like, I can't take this old man. This old man will pack me up. So he's like, I'm out of here, right? He's like, I'm out of here. I'm gone. And right then and there, again, this is another moment, right? There are other moments where we know Killua doesn't have that dog in him, like in the same way that Gon does, and Hisoka does, and Kurapika does, and Leorio does, right? And Bodoro, right? Even Bodoro, because Bodoro, like, you know, he wasn't passing 100, like, he wasn't passing, but he still had that dog in him, right? And you saw his friend also had that dog in him, because he was like, I want to fight you, Hisoka, right? Bodoro's friend was like, I want to fight you. I want this battle to the death. Like, I know I'm going to lose, but I want this battle, right? Like, he's got that dog in him, like, in the same way that the others do, right? So, Killua doesn't. Killua's like, I'm out of here. I'm done. And even though Killua after that is like, man, I would have had to kill the old man to get that ball. I mean, one, he wouldn't have been able to kill him. But two, you gave up. You left. You left. And at that moment, we really, really see why Gon is sort of on a higher pedestal, right, than Killua is. Because Gon does two things, right? Right. The first thing is like the very, like, sort of like super obvious thing where it's like Gon doesn't give up, right? Gon is like, I'm gonna keep going because that's who I am, right? He's like, I'm gonna keep going. That's who I am. Yeah, right. Like Killua, right? Like he was right. Like that's what he's gonna do, right? And that's the first thing. Gon's like, I'm gonna keep going. The second thing, and that's also really important, is that Gon says, okay, Netero, you've set your own, like Netero is also someone who, like, sets their own pace, right? And we see that throughout the whole story, right? Netero's like, okay, I'm doing this because I'm trying to have fun, I'm trying to have a good time, I'm trying to make things wacky, you know, wild, like, you know, ridiculous. That's who he is, right? That's who Patterson is, that's who Jing is, right? They're all similar like that, right? They all have that kind of, they all have that same kind of similar mentality. And Gon has that too, right? But we see that in a very like small, a small way, but a significant way. Gon's like, not only am I not giving up and I'm still like messing around, I'm still messing around with, you know, Netero and, you know, play this game, but Netero set the rules for the game. Netero was like, you have to take the ball from me, right? That was the first set of rules, right? Netero did that, right? Netero was like being a hunter. Netero's like, this is my goal, to make sure that Gon and Killua don't take the ball from me, right? That's his goal. That's what he's setting. That's what he's cementing. And then Gon is like, yeah, I don't really care about this. I don't really care about trying to get the ball from you no more. That's not my goal. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make you use your right hand and left leg. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do that, right? And Gon, right in that moment, sets the pace, right? Netero was setting the pace, and then Gon changed it up, right? And Gon wasn't like us thinking they're like, oh, well, the prerequisites to being a hunter are you have to have something to hunt and, and those other things, right? Gon's not thinking about that stuff because he doesn't even know, right? We know that, right? But Gon has that intrinsically, right? Gon is like at his core a hunter. He's got the qualities for a hunter, which is like you've got to have something to go for. You've got to be trying to go for something in a way that is like intense, like super, very, really intense, right? Where it's like you're the one who's setting things up, right? He sets his own, right? Exactly, Talos, right? He sets his own priorities, right? And as a hunter, your priorities are at the top. Your priorities matter above everyone else. Whatever it is that you're hunting, that's what matters, right? With Jing, he's hunting whatever he's hunting, and that matters more than like his family, right? Like he's hunting he's trying to go to the Dark Continent. That matters more than his family, than raising the Gon, chilling with Aunt Mito, right? That matters more. That takes precedence. And Gon has the same thing, but we see that in a much smaller scale, right? With Netero and him trying to get the ball and stuff like that. Gon's like, no. You set the rules, I'm changing them. Yeah, you set the rules, I'm changing the rules. I'm setting my own rules. I'm going for that. That's what I'm going for. I don't care what you want, Netero. I don't care, right? Gon's like, I don't care. And that's what makes Gon like way more suitable to become a hunter at that point in time. Right? Killua was like, all right, you set the rules. I'm going to try to abide by those rules. Right? And he does his hardest, right, to abide by those rules. Once he realizes that the game, in a sense, is kind of rigged, right? Killua doesn't make the same choice that Gon does. Killua was like, I'm out of here. I'm not going to try to change it up. I'm not going to try to set my own pace or my own rules. I'm just out. Right? But Gon's like, no. I'm switching it up on you. And that's why Netero's like, right, when the narrator says Netero has seen something in Gon, that's what he's seen in him. He's seen that like Gon is that dude. Gon is like really young and he's 12, but Gon goes for what he wants. He has a set goal that he's chasing after. He has something that he wants to hunt in any given situation, and he goes after it. Right? And he goes after it. Right? And that's what Netero sees in him, right? And other people see that in him too, right? They kind of find themselves like, following him and like, supporting him and things like that, right? And he's charismatic, right? Like that's a part of it, right? Gon is charismatic. And we also see that in like the final phase of the Hunter exam, right? Like the before they have to learn Nen and stuff like that. We see that where like Gon is setting the pace against Hanzo, and Hanzo, that's not right. Obviously, that's not what gets Gon to win against Hanzo necessarily. What it's the fact that Gon won Hanzo over, right? That Gon had no like malice in his eyes for Hanzo, even though Hanzo beat the dog turd out of him, right? He was like boom, 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 right? He was beating him up, but Gon wasn't like, oh man, I hate this dude. I hate him. Right? He was just like, I'm just trying to get to my goal. I'm just trying to get to the goal. That's it. Right? And Hanzo not only sees that, but he sees that like Gon is so willing to go after this goal that he doesn't even hold malice in his heart for Hanzo, because he knows that like if Gon knows that if he wins this battle, it's all love. It's all good. Right? That's how Gon is. Gon's like, all right, it's all good after. Right? Gon could be in a battle with someone for the fight of his life. And if they're and depending on the kind of person that they are, Gon will just be like, it's all love. He just be like, it's all love. I'm chilling. All right. And that's kind of how he is. And most people aren't like that. I know I'm not like that, because if someone beat me up like that, we not friends. No, absolutely not. So that, so those are just a few things that like, right. Like Gon is like, a character that I would call like, right. Like Gon is a character that like makes things happen. Right. Gon is someone that like makes things happen and has like this, like, kind of like intense, like, influence over people, because he has what it takes to be a hunter, because he's someone that's like, I have a goal, I'm going for it. That's it. And it's like, and it's not something, again, that like I think, most people don't get. I think most people do get that. But I think it's one of the things that makes him a great character, not only generally, because when you see him in different situations, you see that like Gon is like, oftentimes like sometimes willing and sometimes unwilling to bend, right? And the thing with or break, right? And the thing with Gon is like that's what makes him interesting, because so a lot of characters, right, when they're put into situations, lots of shonen characters will be like, okay, I'm gonna try to, see what's happening, blah blah blah, and things like that. But a lot of times they are definitely like influenced by their surroundings a little bit too much, and they have to make a decision based on that, and that indomitable will kind of like goes away a bit. But I think Gon is a really interesting case, because with him it's like sometimes, it's like it really depends on what's happening, right? Like Gon has to make all of these different like moral choices all the time, and more often than not, Gon is going to make the choice that's like a little bit unhinged, right? Something that's not normal for like most people to make, right? Gon will make the choice oftentimes in Hunter x Hunter to let other people like be hurt irrevocably, right? For his personal gain. That's the thing that a lot of us notice as Hunter x Hunter fans. We notice that Gon does that, right? And that's what Gon sees. That's what Netsudo and all the other hunters see in him, right? When he's trying to get Hisoka's badge, right? Gon is like, I don't care if this other guy dies. Like, and in the manga, right? In the anime, it's like, okay, the guy had his, throat slit. That's what it looks like, right? He got a throat slit. It's like, ooh, right? It's like, okay. In the manga, he gets his head cut off, right? It's like, boom. Hisoka's like, head cut off, right? Because he's got to satisfy his, like, murdering, like, libido or whatever, right? And like, that's what happens there. But Gon is like unfazed by that. That's the thing, right? Gon is unfazed by this dude just like getting his head cut off. He's like, I'm so hyper focused. I'm gonna take that badge from you while you are like beheading someone else, right? He does not care. He's like, he sees it, like in those moments, he sees other people as like kind of like subhuman almost, right? They're just like, I like Gon's like, I like animals, but if he dies, he dies. Like, he's like Ivan Drago from Rocky 4. He's like, if he dies, he dies, right? He's just like, if he dies, dude, okay. And that's, again, he's a little unhinged, just a little unhinged. So it's like a lot of moments that elevate Gon as opposed to Killua, right? Killua is just kind of aimlessly moving around. He's like, yeah, I think this is easy. Most of these people I could beat in a fight, no problem. I'm gonna pass a hunter exam. If this is all it is, man, I got this, right? And this is the thing, right? The last thing I would say, right, very quickly before I move on to like some of these questions, right? The last thing I would say is that when Killua has a chance to win, right, to go to acquire some sort of goal, right, to get to the end line, to get to the finish line or whatever, right? Killua is like, I don't really want to fight you. I'm kind of boring, right? When he gets a chance against Paco, he gives it up, even though he knows he's going to win, and he knows right then and there he can get the hunter license, right? He gives it up, right? There's a difference, right? Because Hisoka knows he could be every single person there outside of maybe Illumi. But he knows that, right? He also knows that Illumi's not there to fight him. Illumi is just there to like get Killua back and bring him home, right? That's Illumi's goal. But Killua has a chance to win, to get the hunter license right then and there, right? He could kill whoever he wants after that, right? But he gives it up because he's like, he's uninterested. He's, lackadaisical about it. Nonchalant, right? He's just like, whatever. And it's another instance, right? That like shows us, that like proves what Netero was thinking was right when he sets up the the tournament, right? Like he flips it on its head and that kind of thing, right? Where he subverts, like where he like literally where Togashi like literally subverts our expectations for the tournament, like and how it's set up, right? That's like it's again, there are like multiple things, right? And this is the thing, right? This is why people say Killua was such a great character, and people tend to gravitate towards him first, right? Because there's so much there. Just in the Hunter exam alone, we see Killua constantly be like, yeah, but very just like lackadaisical about certain things. If he's not motivated enough, he'll just be like, whatever. And the thing is, with the Hunter Association, right? If you're gonna be a hunter, the like number one thing is you have to have something to hunt. You need to be motivated. If you're not motivated, bye. We don't want you. We don't want you here, right? We're not giving out badges to folks like that, right? Even Illumi has a goal, right? He has to become a hunter so he can finish this job and do his assassin work, right? Like that's his goal. And also his goal is to get Killua back at any cost, right? Like that's his goal too. He's like, I'm gonna kill everybody here. Screw it. I'm gonna kill everybody here, right? But he can't, and he knows he can't because of the rules that are in place, right? But there are a bunch of things that make Gon a great character because he's perfect. He has the right mentality when it comes to being a hunter. He's got something that he wants to hunt. He's gonna go after it, right? And that coupled with his like, I don't necessarily like to use the term morally gray, but I think with Gon it's apt, right? Like his kind of like morally gray sort of like character that works. That's when hunters need to be able to work in that. They need to be able to make decisions and kind of like shut off that morality like alarm that goes off in the back of their heads. They have to be able to shut it off and make a decision, right? And Gon is like at the top of that, right? He's really, really good about that. Okay. On top of his other like qualities, right? And like physical qualities, and other things. So let's check it out. Do you think when Gon comes back in the story, it'll be after a several year time skip? Maybe. I think that would make sense, but I don't think the time skip would be really intense. If there was a time skip, I think it'd be probably closer to like maybe months, maybe like 5 or 6 months, something like that. Like just enough time for people to like explore the Dark Continent. You know what I mean? And then come back. So I don't know how long it would take to explore what they need to explore when they get there. But however long it takes to explore, that's how long the like time skip will be, like, or a little bit more than that, right? If it takes like a year for them to be to go on this expedition and for things to happen and stuff like that, then they can just, right, Gon could be doing a whole bunch of stuff at that time. So the time skip, right? Like I think there could be a time skip, and that time skip would like coincide with the expedition, like the length of the expedition, like to the Dark Continent and back from the Dark Continent. I think that's more likely, because Togashi doesn't really like to do like super intense time skips, like outside of like the one at the beginning, right, where Gon is like little and he's like, what is he, like 8 years old or something like that, and he like he's with the fox cub, he's with Kon, right, and like there's a whole thing that's going on there, and he meets Kite and all that. But and then all of a sudden he's like 12, right? So that's different. That's like very different. That happens in like manga all the time. But the type of time skip that you're thinking about, Talus, I would say it would coincide with the expedition that there. So if it's like 2 months, then there'll be like a 2 or 3 month time skip. I don't think the time skip would be like super intense where you see like a whole bunch of things and they'll be adults and stuff like that. I think the time skip would be very short, because I don't feel like Togashi works like that. Togashi's not like he's done that with Yu Yu Hakusho, but it was different, right? Like again, like things coincide with other things, right? Like when right, in like with Yu Yu Hakusho, right? Yeah, there was like a time skip in a sense, right? Where we see Keiko is like grown, is like 18, 17, 18, something like that, right? Kuwabara, right? You see all of them like reconnect at the end, and Yusuke like spent like 3 years and then he came back, right? And like things usually Togashi, like if there's gonna be a time skip, things are going to coincide with whatever narrative is sort of going on at the moment, right? So I think that's more likely like what we'll get. We'll get like, a couple of months or a few months, like 3 months or so. But if we got years, that would be interesting. I'd be interested in that. Like, I wouldn't be mad, because the Dark Continent itself is like so much. Now that would give us a ton. And like you said, right? Like we know, right? The world keeps moving in the Hunter x Hunter world, right? Just because we're focused on someone's narrative and their, narrative arc doesn't mean that Gon isn't doing anything and Killua's not doing anything, and folks that aren't on the expedition aren't doing anything, right? The world keeps moving. Okay. So that's something. So yeah, we could definitely have years too, where we see like, maybe a time skip, an intense time skip where after the Dark Continent's over, we have like maybe like a year after that expedition, and we see like the consequences of that expedition or something. And then we go back to Gon and Killua, and they're like, 15 years old or something like that. And they have like a little bit of a growth spurt or something because, they're growing and they're around that point where they're like getting taller and stuff. Physically, right? So yeah. Another one that you have is also forgetting to no, hold on, let me see. Yeah. So that's something I think. He said, "Hey, what's going on?" Right. So, I guess like another thing, because I have. Did I set up the timer? I did not, but I've been streaming for like 46 minutes, so I messed up the timer for 13. 14 minutes. I'll set it for 14 minutes because that's how much time I have left. Because I'm always streaming for an hour. Yo, what's up, DJ? What's up? So, another thing that I want to talk about, right? Yeah. Oh, Illumina's needle a bit up. Let me see. What do you think about Illumina's needle for Killua? Some people have a problem with it for some reason, acting like it was the only reason Killua acted the way he did, which is just not true. Yeah, that's not true. I think like, what, one thing that's weird is that I feel like people like, is it a important part of why he was acting the way that he acted? Of course. It's like, yeah, of course. Like, of course it's an important part of like why he made certain decisions the way that he did. Duh. But one thing that we know as like people who have like gone through school and like took English classes and stuff like that is that there's like literal language, right? And like the stuff that like happens and like literal things that happen in like a character's life and stuff like that. And then there's like the figurative language in the form of like metaphors, right? And symbols and things like that. And and I would say like the needle, right? The needle, I would say it would act more like a metaphor than a symbol. I would say the needle is a metaphor for the stuff that Killua is already dealing with, right? The needle just expand the needle just like enhances that, right? It just like shines a stronger light on the stuff that's already there. But like that's what that is. Okay. So whenever people are like, oh, it was only the needle and it was just a needle and the needle alone. It's like, no. There's right. If it was just that, we could have dealt with that way earlier. Once Killua learned, then he could have sensed the needle, right? Or whatever, and then taken it out then. And then, we would have kept moving along. But the whole point of Killua not being able to sense the needle until he's developed enough, right? As a person, right? As a character, once all that other stuff, right? Like him, like literally like, right, developing, right? And learning what it means to be a friend and learning what it means to care about people and have people that care about you and to have that like mutual like friendship with people, right? Then he's able to take the needle out, right? Not before, right? Only after he's like gotten to a place, right? Figurative, like, right? Like literally where like his character has like gotten to a place literally where he's like, I'm ready to be there for Gon, right? Emotionally, right? Like, I'm ready to be there for Gon. Then he can take the needle out, right? He has to be able to like make that decision on his own first before he can take it out. My thing also is that I suspect that Illumi probably had something like that like in there where like Illumi was so confident that Killua would never make friends, and he was so confident that Killua would just like always make the decision to like run away or like leave someone behind, that he was confident that like Killua would never find that needle, right? That's how much Illumi gassed himself up and was like, man, he's not gonna find that needle, right? And he's probably a little surprised. He was like, oh, okay, he found the needle, right? Right? And everybody else was like, Zeno was like, found the needle. Killua was growing up, right? He didn't say like, oh, he's not just saying like Killua found the needle. He's like, Killua will grow. He's growing up. Killua was developing as a person. So the needle is a metaphor that shines up, right? Illumi's needles are metaphors for who Illumi is as a person, right? Illumi is just like boom, 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 boom. He's very blunt. He's very sharp, right? That's who Illumi is. So of course his Nen reflects that, right? And like everyone else's Nen like reflects their personality and stuff like that. Okay, as Hisoka has taught us. But yeah. But yeah, right. Like it's both. It's both ways. It's like Killua's personality, right? Killua's personality is developing. He's developing as a character, as a person, and that needle, right, only just acts as like a metaphor that shines a light on Killua's development as a person. That's all. Okay. So it's a combination of things, right? Like that's how these kind of stories work. So if people are like, oh, if Killua didn't have the needle in his head, like, he would have been. It's like you can't think about it like that. You have to think. You have to consider the situations. You have to consider the context. The context is Killua is someone who has a hard time making friends because of how he grew up, and so his personality is very closed off, very cautious, right? And once Killua's development has gotten to a place where he can make a decision for himself to go against his familial influence, only then can he remove the needle and realize that the needle is there. Only then can he do that, right? Like that, you have to think about it that way. Okay. Illumi's powers are great. Illumi's powers are like, it's so him. It's so Illumi. Like Illumi is just like, he's so like sharp. He's just like right? Like there's just moments where he's like, I'm gonna kill Killua's friends. Time to kill him, right? That's the decision, right? He's just very blunt, very sharp. He's just very like, sharp in that way. All right. Another thing I guess that I'll talk about real quickly. I've had like 7 minutes. We'll talk. We could talk a little bit about like, just kind of like what I'm looking forward to, in terms of like more Dark Continent stuff. Generally, I have a pretty solid idea of like what's going on in terms of the Dark Continent, because I did a reread like a couple of years back of like the Dark Continent stuff for like a stream that I did maybe like a year ago or 2 years ago, something like that, or a year and a half ago. So it's still pretty fresh for me. And like there's like the stuff with the mafia, with like the different like with like the 3 mafia heads, and like they're finally like coming at each other, and like their enforcers are fighting each other at the moment, right? There's like all of that stuff. The princes are like, certain princes are starting to be like, all right, I gotta move. If I don't move, I'm dead, right? If I don't move, I'm not gonna be king. I'm not gonna be the leader of the Kakian Empire. Like I want to be the leader, right? I want to be the leader, right? Like that's all of them, whether they initially were like that at the start of the Succession War or not. They're all like, the ones who weren't are slowly beginning to be like, I gotta be king to survive. I gotta make the decision, right? Hulkenberg, right? Gotta make this choice. Gotta do it, right? Other folks are starting to figure that out. The ones who didn't, the ones who were like, weren't on top of their game, they're all dead, right? Madium, what's the other one? Momose, right? They dead. I think Madium's still alive, but I can't remember the other one. Was it not Tubeppa, but the one with the smoke, right? Like the one who Rihan killed, one of Prince Benjamin's like people killed, right, with his Nen ability, right? He was like sleeping in his bed with his lovers, and he was like, I'm chilling, I'm great. And then he got boom, then his Nen beast got eaten, and then boom, he was killed, right? Sally, yes, Sally, right? Like he was like boom, 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 made quick work of, right? Because he was chilling, right? There were 3 of them that are dead. Momose is dead. I think she was the first one. She was the first one to die, I believe. Then it was Sally, and then it was the twin sister, right? Then it was the twin sister, Kacho, right? It was those 3. Those 3 are all dead, right? So like, if y'all not, y'all gotta step it up, right? Y'all gotta step it up, otherwise you're gonna die, right? Regardless of what your intentions are, or what you want to do, with your morals and blah blah blah. You need to you gotta live to have morals. You gotta live to continue to live by those morals. You can't be dead. Dead people don't have morals, right? The dead, they gone. Okay. The prince that I think will die next. Ooh, that's tough. I think it'll be. I feel like Tyson. I think Tyson's next. Tyson or maybe Loserus, but I feel like Tyson. I think Tyson's up next. Because Tyson is just Tyson is so like infatuated with themselves, right? They're just like, yeah, like they're just so like involved like in their like cult that they're building and all that stuff, right? The Book of Tyson, that's a cult. Like they're like Tyson starting a cult, right? Like that's what that is. All right. And it's like, right, it's like the Book of Tyson instead of like the Book of Mormon, right? Like it's like I think that's what Togashi's like kind of going for. Let me just look that up real quick. Right? Yeah. Right. The Book of Mormon is a volume of Holy Scripture comparable to the Bible, right? Like the Book of Tyson is like based off of. That's my guess, right? That's like my assumption is like it's based off of the Book of Mormon, and like I'm not saying much because I don't know if if any of my followers are like Mormon or anything like that, but I think what Togashi is kind of throwing out there is like that Mormon community seems has tenets and like parts of themselves that of itself that seems like cultish, right? If you think about like the things that make up a cult, it's like So I think that's what Tagashi's kind of going over, like there. But yeah, right. Tyson exactly, very much so reminds me of Sally, someone who's very like has a very inflated ego. All of the princes have inflated egos, but they all show that differently. And like, I think you're right, DJ, that like Sally and Tyson are very similar in that sort of way. Like Sally is not someone who's like trying to do too much, right? Sally's not gonna like write a book or make a book and try to like run a cult or whatever, or be a cult leader or something like that. That's like too much work for Sally. That's like too much work, right? Which is why he's already dead. Okay. And why Rihan was able to use his predator ability to just like take him out. All right. He was like the perfect target. He was literally the perfect target for Rihan's predator ability, right? Like that's kind of what happened there. But yeah, Tyson, I think Tyson's probably up next. But you never know with Togashi, right? I don't know. And what I also like is like when a prince dies, right? It's not just like, okay, they're dead. It's like there are actual effects, right? There are like actual effects, right? And no, that's true. I mean, I agree. Like, I think all religions have like cultish elements. I agree with that. Absolutely, 100%. I just think that like Togashi is definitely thinking about like the Book of Mormon as like and saying the Book of Tyson. That's like the parallel, right? Like that's like the parallel that's there textually. But what was I saying? I said something about something. One thing I like is like when the princes die, they are always there are always ripple effects, right? It's never just like, oh, a prince has died. You're right. It's like a prince has died. Now, like something else has to happen. There has to be effect because they're royalty. Because there's like a whole tribunal. There's like a whole court, like in a system. There's like a whole judicial system on the boat, right? So if something happens and a prince dies, it's like, okay, was this done properly? Like it's like bizarre, but it's very like reflective of like even how like different judicial systems around the world work, right? It's like, the courts are a mess, the law is a mess. The courts generally favor like the wealthy and those who are in power, right? And so those courts are a little interesting because they're only there for the princes, basically, right? They're only, like, no one else on that boat is gonna get is gonna be able to use that judicial system, like unless they're related to a prince, right? That's it, right? But so like Tagashi's like literally saying there that like the courts are in the prince's pockets to an extent, right? And generally, but when it comes to like the succession war and a prince dies and stuff like that, things have to be done in a certain way. Otherwise, not great. All right. But like, right, like when Momose dies, and I believe Hanzo was guarding Momose, right? And that was his prince. And she was like suffocated in her sleep, right? She was like suffocated, right? In her sleep, right? And Hanzo's like, I'm gonna find out who did that. And what does Hanzo do? He's out moving around. He's got a whole bunch of things going on. We finally see his Nen ability, right? And then he finds the person who did in Momose and kills that motherfucker, like, over. It's a wrap, right? And that's like, it's like an effect. And there are also other ripple effects, right? When Momose dies, right? Everybody's like on high alert, right? We see the judicial system kind of come into play. All of these other things have to happen. And Tagashi's not like, oh, well, Prince died, whatever. Let's move on to the other princes and what they're doing and stuff like that. And that's it. It's like all of that stuff, all of those things have effects, right? When Salad dies, same thing. All that stuff has effect. All of the things have effects, right? Everything's kicked in a high gear. All the other princes are like, all right, I need Jollibee over here. I need Jollibee over there. I need you to see what's going on. I need you to get me some intel. I like that. To me, that's like a basic thing, right? It's like a basic thing that you should see in the story, in stories. But a lot of times you don't see that, right? And like some other manga, you don't see like when a space has been developed to such a degree, like in terms of like the space, like the narrative space that like all these other things are taking up on the boat. Sometimes you just see things that kind of slip through the cracks and it's whatever. And that's not to say that Tagashi hasn't forgotten something. I'm sure he probably has forgotten a couple things, but it's that he's very good at being like, yes, these things have consequences, right? Whether they're positive or negative for the other princes whenever a prince dies. And as a writer, I have to focus on that and I have to deal with that. I can't just like leave it, lying down, like lying over there or something like that in the story. That stuff has to have real impact, right? When Kacho dies, impact, right? Like you're gonna see that other people, right? When they're trying to save her, and the twin, all that stuff has an impact, and we'll probably see more of it as we move along. Okay. So that's what I'm most looking forward to. Like I'm most looking forward to like seeing like the impacts of Kacha's, the more of like the impact of like Kacha's death, right? We see that like Melody has going to see, right? Like the fourth prince, right, is like, okay, I need to go see Melody. I need to see what's going on. Like all these things have ripple effects, right? So everybody's interacting with everybody in part because of the princes dying, right, at certain moments. So yeah, I'm looking forward to like all the mafia stuff. The mafia stuff is so great. I love that stuff. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the I'm looking forward to all the stuff. Like I'm looking forward to seeing which prince dies next. Because whomever it is, I know Tagashi's gonna do a great job with it. Maybe he won't, but just his record so far has been really good. He's like picked like really good choices, and he's done a great job of just being like, here are the consequences of those deaths. The consequences don't need to be like so intense that like we see those ripple effects like all over and every single other narrative thread. but enough to where we're like invested in like other characters who are affected by a prince's death and that kind of thing. So that, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to like more Succession War stuff. And I'm just, and the last thing I'll say, because I do have to end the stream because it's been an hour and I don't want to like kind of go too over that. I won't say the last thing. I'll check out what y'all have been kind of talking about. Yeah, so Benjamin's like, I want Loser's character to get fleshed out a bit. I agree, because I think Loser's is an interesting character, and like I feel like the fact that Basho's been is one of his guards, that says to me like something about maybe like Loser's has, a bit more going for him than meets the eye, as opposed to just like, hey, I made some drugs and they're interesting drugs and stuff like that, right? Like I think there's a lot more kind of going on there, and I'd like to see it. So I hope he's not the one that's taken out anytime soon. I do think like Tyson's gonna be next, and then after Tyson, probably Tubepa. I think Tubepa is like another prince that's like, super brilliant, but like it's kind of similar to like remember Nicholas in the Hunter in the first phase of the Hunter exam where they were running around and doing all that, and like Nicholas got a little too like gassed himself up a little bit too much, and then couldn't even deal with like just the long distance running. Couldn't even deal with that. So I think we're gonna see some similar stuff in that sense with Tubepa too. With her. Let's see. Remember the mafia families are tied to the troop in Kurapika, so Togashi has to do something with the princes. Yeah, absolutely. I think Togashi should definitely stick with what's happening with them for the moment, flesh that out more, and just find a really good place to shift back to like, Kurapika teaching other people Nen, shift back to like other princes who aren't necessarily a part of the mafia families, because we know that the three of them are Loserus, I can't remember the third prince, right? Loserus, the third prince, Zhang Lei, I think is his name, something like that, and Camilla, right? Like those are the three that are the princes that have connections to the three mafia families. So I'm really looking forward to seeing like how that gets back to them, and how Togashi will kind of like get back to whatever's going on with Kurapika. Last thing I will say before I end the stream. It's like just a quick thing. Give my man's Leorio screen time. Give him page time. All right. I need to see my guy Leorio get some page time. I need it. All right. What's going on? Why is he here? Right? Why'd you put him on the boat? Why he on the boat? Okay. Even Togashi is aware, right? He's like, right in that tweet, right? In the color page, right? Leorio was like, need more page time. Right? More page time. Let's go. Now, if Togashi does his thing with Leorio, like, a bit later on, where maybe it's on the continent and like, that stuff is happening, I'd be like, okay, I get it. Right? But even now, I would still like to see, just even if it's just a bit, even if it's just Leorio like helping someone who, is, needs some medical help, or figuring certain things out, depending on the body, right? Like, whatever. That would interest me, right? Like, that's kind of the stuff that I want to see. I want to see a little bit, I want to see more of Leorio interacting with the Zodiacs, and like that kind of stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. He's like the only one of the main cast who hasn't really done much, like, in this moment, and I like Leorio, so I want to see more of him. That's probably like my biggest request of for Togashi. Like, Togashi, please give my man some screen time. All right, some page time. Camilla, I love Camilla. Camilla's like probably my favorite prince. Camilla's definitely my favorite prince. She's just so funny, right? Her Nen ability is also probably my favorite out of all the princes. Like, I love her Nen ability. It's like it's just so like it's just such like a wealthy person's like Nen ability, right? Like, it's like I'm gonna use your life force to feed me, right? I have so much privilege, right? Like, it's like, boom, I'll take a shot to the head, whatever, right? It's just like, it's such a like wealthy person's Nen ability, I feel like. So there's that. And like, I think that's all I have to say for now. I'm definitely gonna do a lot more of these discussion streams when chapters come out. I think what I'll try to do is like when the chapter's out, I'll do my reaction, and then I'll just have like Hunter discussion for this chapter or whatever, and I'll just keep it in the I'll keep it in the what was I gonna say, in my playlist, in my Hunter discussions playlist, and I'll put those live stream videos there. So let's see. Like he's the rookie crush and all, but I don't know. Was he even at the last Hunter exam? Yeah, I think he was actually, but he got knocked out, I believe. He was like skulking around with his little cans or whatever. At least in the anime, I can't remember if he was there in the manga. I feel like maybe, but he might have been added in the anime, but I'm not sure. But I think he was there. Yeah. It's great to be back, y'all. It's great to be back. It's great to just be putting out videos talking about how I feel about certain things. Yeah. The Greed Island one, he was there, right? The last Hunter exam, no, he wasn't. I don't think he was, but yeah, in the anime, he was knocked out by Camilla. He was just like skulking around trying to do his thing, not really caring about passing the exam. But he was there during the Greed Island one. Yeah, that I remember. So I don't know, Tompa. Maybe he's just like, all right. There's a lot more to this than like maybe I'm just done. Maybe I'm just like I'm retiring or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna stop there. Thank all of y'all for coming through. Shouts out to Terror of Talos. Shouts out to DJ. Shouts out to Benjamin for coming through. Tompa should be an honorary hunter at this point. If he learned Nen, I would just give him a hunter light. I'll just be like, here you go, man. You've been around long enough. You know what I mean? Just slide him the card, under the table or whatever. Just be like, all right, here you go. All right. And he's a hunter, whatever, right? And they could just hire him to like do what he's already been doing, right? They could just hire him to like come back, every now and then for the young fellas, give them their, those laxative drinks, do all that stuff, do a little bit of psychological work, and all that. And it'd be cool. He just do it officially. He could make a living doing that. They'd like pay him a wage or something, So I'm gonna stop there. Okay. I was just talking about what I felt like I wanted to talk about, right? I'm gonna see if I can try to like figure out like time stamps for like things that I'm talking about, and I'll try to get another discussion done. I'm going next week. Next Sunday, I'm gonna react. I'm gonna react to Paradise Kiss, which is a Josei manga that I really like, and I'll also react to the Hunter x Hunter chapter because like, duh, right? That'll be kind of like the special thing. I think like every Sunday I'll react to that so long as the chapters are out, right? Because I have to. So now it's like an hour and 13 minutes. I'm like way ahead of that, but I'm gonna stop here because it's still around an hour. All right. Thank y'all for coming through. Convo was great. All right. And we'll have another one of these, next Sunday when the chapter's out. And because of course we gotta have a discussion right about it. So I'll see y'all later. All right. Thank you for coming through to the Hunter x Hunter discussion. I'm the Black Manga Critic, and I'm out.